Broncos country. Let's ride. Oh, God, I cringed myself out with that one. What's going on, Broncos fans? My name is Trace Moustakas. I bet you're wondering, where on earth is Matthew Peterson? Well, Matthew Peterson's out shaking hands, kissing babies over at the NFL Combine, so I have decided to step in here for the Broncos Breakdown by Chat Sports. Now, coming up on today's show, we have got some glaring, and I mean glaring, Ernest Jones to the Broncos rumors that I particularly think cannot be ignored. So we're going to break down that as well as some report card grades for the Denver Broncos. Now, before we get into anything surrounding Mr. Jones, how about you help us out and get us to 33,000 subscribers here on the channel. Look at that, 86 away. Woo! Looks beautiful, and all you got to do is hit that big red sub button. It's completely free. Don't forget to like the video and share this with a Broncos fan in your life. All right, getting down to the nitty-gritty. You know what it's all about. Moving to Mile High, question mark? I mean, Ernest Jones rumors in free agency to the Broncos could not have been more clear to me. I saw this when I walked into work yesterday, and I get a little bug in my ear. It's actually one of my coworkers, but, hey, neither here nor there. But he was telling me, hey, there might be some serious traction with Ernest Jones to the Broncos. And I said, no way. But it's not just him who told me. This is what Lou Scataglia said on Jones's future. I've got a feeling the Denver Broncos are going to be throwing a handsome free agency contract to free agent inside linebacker Ernest Jones. He's one of the top inside linebacker free agents on the market and a very solid player at the position. Mr. Scataglia, yeah, you're not kidding. I mean, take a look at what he's done the last couple of seasons. 138 tackles, 145 tackles. Look at those tackles for loss in 2023. The guy's a blanket over the middle of the field. And one of the things that, I'm sure Broncos fans are looking at and they're like, do we really need to go defense again? Well, this inside linebacker position might just be the key to solving some of those coverage issues for the Denver Broncos. We certainly didn't have a problem getting to the quarterback, right? Sack leaders, we were number one. What's that SpongeBob line? It was his hat, Mr. Krabs. He was number one. Well, that's the Denver Broncos. Number one, followed, not even close, by the way, by the Baltimore Ravens at 54. So, and I think when you look at the Denver Broncos depth chart, this is clearly one of the best linebacker rooms in the NFL, if not the best. So, again, I'm sure you're thinking in your head, we don't need him. Of course we don't need him. He's not some necessity that we have to go out and get. This guy is a luxury. Yes, Ernest Jones is a luxury player, somebody that we could add to make us even better. And I believe this to be true. If we get Ernest Jones in a Broncos uniform, we're going to stay atop the league in terms of defense for the next couple of years, pending any injuries or, God forbid, any crazy free agent trades. You get the whole idea. Things happen in the NFL that are unforeseen all the time. So to me, it's a player that can just add that little icing, that little cherry on the top of this already delicious cake. But I want to know from you, do you want to sign Ernest Jones? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Get that red pen out, sprinkle it in. I'm going to make this the pinned comment in today's video. So I want to see you reply to this as much as possible. I'm typing my big fat Y for yes, because why not? I mean, 4-year, $52 million contract projection. It's going to make us that much better. I'm all game for it. Okay, so now coming up, report card time. So every single year, the NFL kind of does this thing. The NFLPA comes out with a bunch of different statistical categories where they kind of ask players to rank things, and they kind of go through and kind of rank, I don't even know how to put it. It's not necessarily about football. It's about everything surrounding the Denver Broncos. So their strength and conditioning, their diet, nutrition, how they treat the families, travel expenses, things of that nature. And they came out today, and Ari Mirov, I think I'm pronouncing this correctly, talked about the ownership grades. And look who's not at the very top, but in the top 7. Denver Broncos sitting at A. The Dolphins surprisingly got an A+. The Falcons, okay, I've heard good things. The Vikings are always at the top of these couple of lists. But the Broncos coming in at A is exactly what we want to see. I mean, this to me, and if you take a look at some of the other, like sometimes I see these lists and I think to myself, are these accurate? Because the Bears came in at a B+, and I can tell you that the Bears ownership sucks. Now, as you get further along down these, okay, the Panthers, the Jets, sitting at the very bottom of the league, we get that. The Cardinals also got some really, really bad grades. But I'm sure you're wondering now, well, what were the Denver Broncos report card grades? Well, let's take a look at them. The treatment of the families gets a C-. Food and dining gets a B+. Hey, at least we've got some delicious food. Nutrition and dietitian gets an A-. One thing that I'm going to point out here in just a couple of seconds is the locker room with the F grade. Want to know what that's all about. Training staff, weight room. So basically, we're kind of hovering around that B to B+ range, which is not a horrible thing, and that kind of puts us right in the middle of everything. It kind of puts us right in the middle of the pack when it comes to where the Denver Broncos stand with these NFL report card grades. Number 17 is not quite in the top half, but it's just outside of it. And again, I don't think this doesn't really mean anything. I mean, unless you're one of the players, right? Or one of the family members of the players. To me, this is not something that needs to be investigated, except for this horrendous locker room thing. And I want to talk about that briefly. I have no idea why the locker room got graded an F. I mean, when it came to expectations for the Broncos coming into 2024, I thought they well exceeded it. And I'm sure you did too. So to me, I'm thinking about this and I'm like, why does the locker room get an F? Is this an interpersonal connection between the players? Is this players and coaches? I mean, where is this the issue? Where's the issue lie here with the Denver Broncos? And now I'm starting to think, well, maybe some players don't get along the way that we think they get along. Now, as long as they get along on the field, that's the most important thing. But one of the things that the players were asked about was the ownership grade. And they said it was great. Yes, the Broncos said, yeah, we love this new owner. We love George Paton. We love what he's doing with this team. And I could not be more happy to hear that, because when ownership is good, usually coaching is good, and then everything kind of trickles down after that. So everything starts at the top. Do you ever notice that the worst organizations in the NFL have an awful owner who hire bad coaches, who hire bad positional coaches, and then the play is bad? I mean, we see the same teams at the bottom of the league every single year. Panthers stink. Jets stink. Giants stink. And I think collectively we could all say, yeah, the owners, not that great. Even the Raiders, who at one time were considered, with Al Davis, to have a great owner, since Mark Davis has taken over, it's not been good. So the bottom of the league stays at the bottom of the league because the ownership gets bad, and George Paton is an excellent owner. So the Broncos can rest easy at night knowing we've got the right people in place at the top of the list to make everything on the field look as good as possible. So while you can't know exactly what's going on inside the locker room, and you can't grade any of the things that the NFLPA came out with, you can grade the 2024 Denver Broncos. So I want you to do that for me. Take out your red pen, like I said before, and grade the Broncos 2025 season. A, B, C, D. I don't think you could ever call it an F, and I don't even think you could say it's a D. I honestly would give it a B+. And self-admittingly, going into the 2024 season, I had the Broncos at like a 6 or 7 win team. Yeah, I know. That doesn't sound great. But they defied expectations. Bo Nix is way better than expected. Sean Payton turned his tenure in Denver around. We're long past the days of Russell Wilson and that horrendous contract. So I think things are looking, pretty good. Now, what do we do from here? Okay, well, we attack the draft. We're doing some scouting at the combine. We have to be aggressive in free agency, especially with the NFL salary cap going up and up and up and up. And honestly, I think the state of the 2025 Denver Broncos is going to be one that could potentially win this division. Now, that's another conversation for another day, maybe as we get closer to the 2025 season. But for where it stands right now, I think we're in a really solid spot, that B+ range for all things considered. All we've got to do, be smart with the player personnel, and that'll move us up to an A. And that's going to do it for me here on today's episode. Matthew Peterson will be back sometime next week. So until then, my name is Trace Moustakas, but you can call me Moose. Take care.